Thank you very much. And Director, I'm drafting legislation to modernize EB5 Regional Center program. I'm a strong believer in EB5 because I've seen how well it's worked in my state. Now, one of the issues I hear from stakeholders involves the economic aspects of the program. Some have stakeholders express frustration that when an investor petition is being adjudicated by USCIS, the adjudicators look at both the petition and the business plan attached to it. That can cause a lot of delays. I think we could promote efficiency and predictability if regional centers are able to seek agency pre-approval for a business plan in which investors could then become involved. It would allow the agency to divide the adjudication task between economic experts who would review the business plan and immigration experts who would adjudicate the investor petitions. Do you agree that if you separate the business plan approval process from the petition adjudication process, you could have more consistent and careful review of business plans?
Senator, thank you for your question with respect to the EB5 program. That program, I myself have given a great deal of attention to. I recognize its economic benefits. We would welcome the opportunity to consider the possibility of pre-approving business plans and applications to establish regional centers. We understand the benefit that a regional center determination can have on future EB5 applications. I do want to say that we have taken a number of discrete steps to improve our EB5 adjudication process. Most notably, we have concentrated expertise in one locale where all EB5 applications are submitted for our review and consideration. We have also, in response to public concern about the time it takes to review and adjudicate those applications, we have cut the application processing time by approximately 50%. It used to take us approximately 8 months to adjudicate an EB5 application, and our cycle time is now approximately 4 months.
Yeah, my concern is obviously you have to look at the immigration question. You don't want fraud in it, although what I've seen on these have been very legitimate business people. They were trying to raise capital through the regional center program, and I just don't want the whole thing and being looked at as just one huge issue instead of breaking it down to its component parts and probably looking at it in a more efficient way. When we set up the regional center program, Congress intended it to have flexibility to accommodate the realities of business, including unforeseen delays that occur through no fault of the investor, especially these days where the stock market goes up and down, the availability of capital ebbs and flows probably more than we'd like. But if you have an investor and a domestic business person acting in good faith, I hate to see the investor suffer the denial of a green card. So can we just, would you commit to have your department and your office and mine work together to see if we can find ways to make the whole process more efficient?
I most certainly will, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Now, on another, this is somewhat parochial, the dairy industry is not eligible to participate in the H-2A agriculture visa program. I'm going to introduce legislation to ensure that dairy can participate in the H-2A program. I strongly support the ag jobs legislation, which would reform the overall H-2A program. I realize DHS and USCIS don't play a direct role in determining eligibility of H-2A workers. But do you have any objection to a change in the statute to clarify that dairy is eligible for the H-2A program?
Mr. Chairman, we have been aware of the fact that dairy workers have not been eligible for the H-2A program merely by virtue of the fact that their work is not defined as seasonal under the current legislation, and we are aware of the articulated need to redress that situation.
Thank you. And of course, I mentioned, as you know, the Vermont Service Center in my opening remarks. I do hear some very positive things from people about their work. As I've said, I've gone and visited it on different occasions. I think it's a great example of a successful partnership with the federal government. I'd like to see Vermont and USCIS continue to develop the positive relationship. Can we work together with Vermont officials in your department to encourage that partnership?
I would welcome the opportunity, Mr. Chairman, and I should note that I had the pleasure and the privilege of visiting all of the employees in the Vermont Service Center but a few weeks ago, and the accolades they receive are richly deserved.
Thank you, and they appreciated that, let me tell you.
Thank you.
One of the very important visas the Vermont Service Center handles are the violence against women self-petitions. As you know, helping immigrants who are in abusive situations to seek protection from the federal government for independence from an abusive spouse or parent. I understand USCIS is in the process of improving the training program for these VAWA adjudicators. Sure, the petitions are handled in total confidentiality. How is that training going on?
Mr. Chairman, that is going very well, and once again, the experts at the Vermont Service Center do an outstanding job of adjudicating the T and U visas that address the dire situation to which you refer. We're very proud of their leadership, not only in executing our adjudication guidelines, but in developing them and training others to share their expertise.
Thank you. And finally, the man charged of being the Times Square bomber, Faisal Shahzad, entered the U.S. from Pakistan on a student visa, then he got a work visa, then he applied for a green card, and eventually was naturalized. What are the background security checks he would have undergone at each point? Was there information in the file that should have been caught as USCIS was reviewing his application? And I realize it's one thing to look at it in hindsight, but what does your review show?
Mr. Chairman, I am constrained, regrettably, by privacy rules on commenting on the Shahzad file specifically, but I can speak of the process that we as an agency follow with respect to the security and background checks that we perform. Our anti-fraud and our national security preventive measures are extremely robust, and their importance has only been elevated since I assumed the leadership of the agency. We conduct FBI fingerprint checks. We conduct checks of databases, including the TECS, T-E-C-S database. We employ the FBI name, the background, the name checks. We scrub the application itself. We interview the applicant, and we work collaboratively with our law enforcement partners and our intelligence community partners in ensuring that each application is carefully scrubbed and scrutinized to ensure that a fraud in our system or a peril to our national security is not effected.
Thank you very much, Senator Hatch.